warm welcome to Daily Dispatch powered by HSBC. I'm Priya Sheth, and joining me on this conversation is Amit Kumar from OLX Autos. Thank you very much, Amit, for joining us today. I want to talk a little bit about the used cars market because we've seen a whole boom in the whole market over the last couple of months, specifically during the pandemic. Tell us a little bit about how your experience has been and what's the kind of traction you've seen.
First of all, thank you very much, Priya, for having me on the show. It's a pleasure. And then, yes, definitely used car industry has caught the fancy of the consumers, who are the most important ones for us, and in general, the ecosystem. The used car ecosystem has been important and relevant for the last decade or so. It has grown very, very rapidly. But the pandemic has brought in shifts in the consumer usage of car, specifically because during the pandemic, people wanted to avoid shared transport and shared mobility, and masses with resources opted for used cars. That brought in a shift and then grew used car quite rapidly. Used car as an industry till 5 to 7 years ago used to be smaller than the new car industry. Today, we are close to 1.4, 1.5x of the new car industry, slated to grow rapidly, around 15% CAGR. So by 2030 in India, you should see close to 10 million used car transactions on an annual basis. I think the good thing is that as used cars, we're creating a lot of value for the consumer who's tight on purse, especially during the pandemic. There is definitely an economic uncertainty which crept in the initial period. And when there is economic uncertainty, people want to make a smaller capital commitment. And we as used car industry came in and helped for personal mobility and smaller capital commitment.
Amit, tell us a little bit about what kind of listings have you seen? What is the kind of growth that you've seen so far over the last, say, 6 to 8 months? What's been the growth on listings on the platform?
So to give you a high-level snapshot of OLX platform, we get close to 22,000 listings a day. And this number is higher than the total number of used cars that get transacted in a day in our country. Close to 1 million people come to buy those cars on a daily basis. And the interesting thing during the pandemic has been that before pandemic, the kind of demand and supply that we saw and where we are today, we are ahead in both demand and supply. But the point to note is that the demand has expanded faster than the supply. As a result, there is a gap which has come in, or the gap between demand and supply has broadened. And there is a strengthening of prices on key car segments. And in general, across the board, you could see a 5 to 10% strengthening of prices in India.
Right. Tell us in 2021, what's going to be the key strategy? What would be the focus areas?
So as OLX Autos, we've been in an expansion mode. We run close to 150 plus retail outlets across the country. And our last campaign, Price Nahi Surprise Hai, has gotten us on a very, very good growth trajectory. We continue or we plan to continue on our growth trajectory in the year also, which would mean we continue to have a lot of efforts on the marketing side, both for the consumer and for our dealer partners. And as a result, we expect significant expansion in our business numbers also.
So tell us give us some color in terms of what kind of expansion do you expect in business numbers, any business metrics that you can run us through?
You put me in a tough spot, Priya. I think what I can tell you is that we've seen significant expansion in the space, but to be able to give a fix on the plans is a difficult one. We can't, and specifically because of the kind of ecosystem and a company that we are, I would refrain from commenting there. The context also is that while COVID with Omicron hasn't been, let's say, as prominent an effect, but still the situation on the ground also remains a bit unclear.
All right, Amit. On that note, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks so much for your time.